Hey, Brian, do you want to do the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence?
I can.
Okay, and do you want to mention all of the Bob, a moment of silence and things that are on there?
And Brandon, what did we learn?
Good news on the elevator today. Weird thing, I got my milk in. She says this got out.
It showed up on my printer, so I don't know if
Oh,
maybe.
I'm gonna accept by you.
So I wondered if it is.
You are?
Yeah.
What's that?
Or when you picked up the packet. Yeah.
Oh,
But yeah, it was just
the pad?
just right up there, and I didn't know
Well,
whose it
I don't
was.
know.
So
Brittany's just telling me that I might have to try to get used to an Apple. I usually use an Android.
Oh, really?
So, I don't know. But it'll be a bigger one. We'll be able to see better.
Oh, that's okay.
That was a little scary. I told that
Yeah.
I just can't believe
I don't know if congratulations or condolences.
You will. Truly, you will. I had your second, so,
Oh, well, I just wanted to say,
Appreciate it.
well,
Well, hopefully we can find a way through all this stuff.
we will.
I'm just like,
This agenda, though, it's like trying to drink out of a fire hose.
well, I'm just like,
I knew there was going to be some. I mean, at least planning commission with a lot of stuff, but I knew there was going to be a lot of new stuff too. So
Oh, there's a lot of stuff going on.
I usually talk to Randy and Janelle quite a bit. But, yeah,
I know.
a lot going on right now.
just like,
The
I
other
just
two
wanted
were
to tell
just
them to,
entrees.
okay. Waiting for her to see if we're ready, so. Brittany, we ready?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're ready to go. It's 5:30. So we'd like to thank all of you that come out to our meeting tonight. We'd like to recognize Councilmember Holbert, Councilmember Wilson, Councilmember Jackson, Councilmember Saxton, and our newly appointed Councilmember Spar with us tonight. And so now Councilmember Saxton is going to lead us in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
If we would please, former mayor Bob Dandoy and his wife Carol are experiencing some troubles. And so when we take a moment, have them in your hearts, please. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks.
Okay, tonight we have a few consent items that we have listed here. Does council members have any comments on those?
I have a few minor changes to the minutes, and I've already submitted those to Brittany.
Okay, and so do we have a motion to approve those consent items?
I move that we approve the consent items with the slight changes as already submitted.
Okay, do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now we're going to have a few presentations tonight, and our first will be with Steve from my hometown, and this is going to be a great thing for our city. I just want you to know I've met with him, I've driven around with him, and what he can bring to our city is going to be so exciting. And so I will turn the time over to Steve. You want to come up to the podium and talk loud?
Thank you, Mayor Jackson. Can I just give this to you to pass down? Thank you, Mayor Jackson. It's good to be in Roy City tonight. I appreciate it. I'm a lifelong Weber County kid, and can't tell you how many times I've swam at the complex or competed at Roy High, sometimes better than others, but I am grateful to be here tonight. My name is Steve Griffin. I represent my hometown, which is an initiative of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in conjunction with other municipalities. We work extensively within the state of Utah right now with other cities and entities to be able to lift and better communities as a whole. Some of you have been to some of our events over in Ogden. In Weber County right now, we're currently serving inside of Ogden City, where we have approximately 284 missionaries, and we regularly on our days of service have about 1,500 to 1,800 volunteers that come into the city to help and support us on those days of service. Let me tell you a little bit about what my hometown Ogden, or I should say my hometown, does. What we do is we have two focus areas. That first area is what we call days of service. Those days of service are where we identify, in collaboration with other entities in the city as well as the municipality itself, projects that need done inside of the city for beautification and for improvement, or to generally lift the community. We identify those projects, we work and plan them, we facilitate the equipment and the needs as well as the funding, working alongside the city with permitting and all of the things that are needed to be able to better those homes and to help those individuals. How do we find some of those projects? Collaboration, like I said, but also the city provides us code violations that we're able to go out and help those individuals alleviate their code violation that they may not be able to themselves, or that they may not have the funds to do that. In Ogden City alone, we have alleviated well over 330 code violations, which accumulates almost to $500,000 in abatement. So we are proud of that fact. The mayor has written a letter that I give you all a copy there from Ogden. And the reason I brought that is because it is the closest city that we're working in right now. But there's a couple of things I wanted to share with you. He lists some of the metrics that the city measures in what we have done there. But if you'll look on that second page, I updated those metrics to include 2025. The metrics that I'll share with you here is what has happened in your neighboring city here, Ogden, with my hometown in 4 years. And in those metrics, you'll see that we've had over 21,149 volunteers come in from the city and into the city. Over 73,000 service hours, 1,334 projects. That represents homes that have had driveways, landscaping, porches, handicap ramps, painting of all kind, any kind of repairs that are needed, even hoarding violations and other things that have been clear that the city has directed us and pointed us to. The city evaluates that at a $2.5 million service value in the last 4 years that we've provided in beautifying the inner city of Ogden. If you look below, you'll see the second part of what we do and who we are in my hometown. We have what we call community resource centers. In Ogden, there are 3. In Roy here, we've identified already a facility here inside of the city that would be turned in and used as a resource center. That resource center focuses on bettering individuals, strengthening families, and supporting vulnerable populations. We provide a variety of classes. Annually, we're providing in Ogden over 220 different classes that provide those types of support to the community, and they are all free of charge.
They are staffed by service missionaries as well as professionals, as well as city personnel, and as well as individuals from local hospitals, universities, and school districts, as well as Weber County Morgan Health, that help us to provide those individual type classes to those entities. You can see that we have had over 12,420 patrons in those facilities, and it is making a difference inside of the communities. In the state of Utah right now, we are in 18 communities, hopefully 19, with Roy being the 19th, with many more waiting. We are scaling as fast as we can, but it takes money, it takes people, personnel, and it takes effort. So I'm here today to answer questions about my hometown. We would love to come to Roy City. We are prepared and we are ready to come to Roy City. In fact, we already have service missionaries serving in Ogden that are from Roy that we would like to bring home to work inside of your city boundaries and to help. It does require the support of the city to be able to work effectively. Let me just share one line right here real quick from Mayor Nadolski. If you look towards the bottom of that letter that he wrote, he says this: "These accomplishments are more than numbers. They represent the spirit of unity, service, and transformation. The impact of my hometown can be seen not only in cleaner streets and educated families, but also in strengthened bonds between neighbors and a growing sense of civic pride. Ogden has been proud to serve as a model city for this program, and we wholeheartedly support its expansion into other communities. The success we have experienced stands as a testament to what is possible when cities and residents work hand in hand with purpose and compassion." We work very hard to focus on two things: connection and collaboration. It is imperative when we are trying to lift certain parts of a community that we connect them with others, that they might be able to lift them and create those relationships and bring in those resources to those communities. Collaboration. We work extremely hard to collaborate with the municipalities that we work within, that we might be able to do what their needs are and work with them hand in hand, as well as the other charitable groups and entities within the city. We like to think that we work as a central hub to make sure that we are not crossing over the top of each other, but that we're better utilizing all of our efforts together in making a difference inside the community. Just one real brief thought here. Last night I was in another meeting, and we had an individual who had their home repaired by my hometown missionaries and volunteers from within the city. This individual is partially disabled. When her door was originally knocked on, and it was knocked on by my hometown service missionary at the request of the city as a code violation, she was nervous of us, but she let us talk to her on that porch and accepted the help that we offered. We asked her about her neighbors, and she said, "I wouldn't dare talk to anybody. I don't talk to anybody. I think they're all bad people," quote. They're not, but in time, what happened was we provided an opportunity to help her with her home there in making some outside repairs and some sidewalk repairs that went up to the front of her porch. At the end, her neighbors came out and were invited to help. They met each other. They talked. 3 more projects came as a result. And our former missionary there then approached this lady several months later just to check in on her and see how it was. And she referred to her as a dear friend. And this little lady said back to her, "What did you call me?" And she said, "Well, my dear friend." And she said, "I've never been anyone's dear friend." So there is a difference that can be made inside these communities by connecting all of us together in the entirety and to be able to help your community and our home. My hometown isn't where we're from, it's who I am.
Right.
And so is there any questions that I can answer?
I just wanted to say that my son had the opportunity to build a wheelchair ramp in downtown Ogden. And the main thing he said was the great community service and the pride that he felt and everybody working together. And I know that you say that it's church-oriented, but it's, a lot of people might shy away if they think that the church is running it. And so you say that all denominations, you don't have anything on you that says that you're from the church.
No, Mayor, that's a
And-
really good question. We are non-proselyting. We are civic-based. In Utah, there are 800 of our service missionaries, but there are 600 volunteers who are not part of that service missionaries who work alongside with us. And so we work in the community as a whole as a civic-based 501c3. We just use the church as part of our support and part of our networking in being able to get volunteers. But I will tell you, in Ogden, there are volunteers, half of them, that come from other entities as well.
Right.
Corporations, other charitable groups, and entities within the city that we work closely with.
Well, me and Diane and Janelle had the opportunity last year to go around Ogden and see some of the things that the acts of kindness and service that they did, and I was just amazed at all of the people that did it. I just want you to know that it's all outside of homes. They don't enter inside anybody's home, do anything inside. So it's cement, repairs on, and like you said, there were some hoarders. We went to their houses, and they had a hard time giving some of that stuff up. But then they have a professional tree services come in if they need trees cut down. But they've laid sod, they've put up fences, they've done house painting. I mean, just beautifies the neighborhood. And then, like you have said before, neighbors that were going to be, have you come to their house, they're like, well, I think I can do this on my own now. And then you ask for maybe that homeowner if they can put any money towards it, and then maybe they'll be more apt to, keep it up.
Maintain it,
But if
yeah.
they can't, then you provide, like Lowe's and Home Depot, everybody, it's all provided, all the materials, and all we do is the labor.
That is correct. And actually the equipment, the support, the materials all come in from all directions within the city and from without of the city. Just to give you an idea of some of the environmental impacts that we've made. In Ogden City, we have taken to the Weber County Transfer Station over 2,800 tons of refuge, and over 1,800 yards of green waste have been picked up or taken from inside of inner city Ogden. So there's a lot of benefits in that as well. And we work closely with the businesses inside of the communities as well as other state entities to be able to provide the funds as well as the materials and the equipment that is needed. So any given day of service that you may have been in Ogden, you'll see between 15 and 1,800 volunteers. And the last time we had a day of service, just to give you an idea how many things are moving, there was 180 dump trailers moving that day
Wow.
inside of the city, along with the city's backhoe, dump trucks, and their personnel. And the men that are behind me here, they are a critical part and women over here on both sides are a critical part of our support on those big days, because there's a lot of people and a lot of movement inside of the city on that particular 4 hours on that Saturday morning. So
And so you do usually May, June, August, September, right? On a
Correct.
Saturday, but to where we're just new to the whole, concept, we would probably only be August, September this year if we get all our everything going.
yes, I would need to meet again with the individuals that this council would deem that I need to be with to be able to organize that, to make sure that we're all in alignment on what is needed with our cooperation agreement. And then we would plan for, at a minimum, 1 day of service this year in Roy City, possibly 2. It'll take us a while to staff up and to get trained and be able to move forward and get everything in place, not only with the city, but with our side of the agreement. And then also the Community Resource Center would open much faster than that. The Resource Center would probably open in June, and we would work to be able to have a fall semester then.
So can you tell, you've told me, but can you tell them some of the things that Resource Center that offers?
Yeah, absolutely. We teach ESL, English, as a second language. We teach sewing. We teach personal finance and family finance. We teach mental health strength. We teach family and marriage counseling classes and strength. We teach help me, Ray, behind me.
Piano and ukulele, I've already heard.
Yeah, we teach guitar, we teach piano. We have hundreds of young students that are learning piano in Ogden right now, literally, that we teach in our community resource centers as well as in the Marshall White Center in Ogden now. So we're teaching piano. We teach theater classes for young children. We teach youth impact classes and work directly with them. We teach classes on how to improve your home or how to care for your automotive or small engines or yard care or gardening, all of those types of things. So those classes are based on strengthening the individual, the family, and vulnerable populations. We work closely with NOMAS, if you're familiar with that. NOMAS offers free legal services to immigrants in helping them to be becoming citizens of the United States. So they work within our centers and closely with us.
Thank you.
So
And
that
did you
help?
do one for all the elderly people that don't have grandchildren, teach them how to work on their cell phones?
Yes.
did a class for
and
that.
We kind of smiled at that, but we offered a class on cell phone usage and understanding how to use a cell phone. And we had about 85 senior citizens in there, and it was the coolest thing to see them all on their phones and a 19-year-old young man at the front teaching them how to do it all. And you know what? I would have never thought that would have been intended, but that was something that we are carrying on a regular basis now that they really, really appreciated. They all night they helped them to get hooked onto Facebook or how to read their text messages or how to clear their windows or their screens. But there was a lot of good things that happened that night.
So Council, do you have any questions or any comments?
Well, I was curious of where you, and I think I asked this when we went and did the tour, but
Yeah.
I don't quite remember, of where you house some of these classes. I know that was kind of probably it's individual to every city, but I wasn't sure.
It is. So the way we start is because we are a 501c3 of the church, it's really easy for us to acquire room within a given building here in the community that sits properly. And we usually start within a church building to work. Although that is not our ideal way, but it is the easiest way for us to get started. We've identified the building here on 4900 South and 2000 West by the elementary school, where we would start. But ultimately, we would love to move, like we have with Ogden, to city-owned buildings or a collaboration together in a building where we can offer that out of a religious institution. And that's what we've done already in Ogden in 2 of the 3 resource centers that are in Ogden. Did that help?
And do you require like storage in those buildings, or how? does
Small
that
amount
work?
of storage. We need to store keyboards, computers, just materials that are needed in those types of areas, but not a large amount of storage, no.
Okay.
So that's the Red Stake Center that's just right.
The
Right by
older
the
one,
city. Mhm.
yes,
Is it
yes.
called the barn, great big yellow
Yes,
building?
it has the
Yeah,
detached big
yeah.
gymnasium behind it.
Mhm.
Hence, that's probably what we'd use quite often
Yeah.
in that resource center. So it takes us a minute to get them up and advertised. Roy would immediately come up once we are to that point on the state's website where all of my hometown is housed and all the different communities come up. And then it would start advertising and pushing out to your residents in Roy so that we could have those patrons come to the classes that they desired. So,
I have a question.
yes.
So it sounds like there's a lot of benefits that this has for the city, especially addressing some concerns that residents have had in the past with beautification and, improving, the city and things. And so my question, I guess, to you is that what cost, if any, would there be to the city, and what support that the city would need to make this run? Like, what did you need from the city on this?
So that's a very good question. Here's what we really look for in the city. One is collaboration and cooperation together so that we have open lines of communication. We want to meet your needs and we want to work within your guidelines. As far as financial costs, when we acquire the volunteers, and we as my hometown will go out and recruit, for lack of better words, those volunteers that are within the city and from surrounding areas, we would need the city to background check them. And then on the days of service, when we bring in volunteers from all over the surrounding areas here, we would need the insurance on those days of service. Those are the 2 major expenses. As well as on the day of service, we would need the support of your good staff that would be working alongside of us to help us to make sure that we're meeting guidelines, that we're staying within permitting and all of the things that are needed there. Did that answer your, Councilmember Jackson? Thank you.
Yes, and we've already got our insurance approved that it would, right, Matt? So,
Yeah, they actually have a policy that there's no additional charge.
Perfect.
so,
So,
anything else? Anybody want to ask? I mean, normally you said that you work with the code enforcer because obviously.
code violation
yeah.
loves my hometown. I'm not,
Yeah.
the code officers, enforcement officers do like us. We act as a buffer, if you will. When there are violations, sometimes city personnel aren't treated well, can I say that, from residents? And sometimes we can step in and go offer to alleviate that violation. And we tell them that we're there as volunteers, and it really makes a difference. And then the code violation is there, of course, as well, to make sure we do what is needed. So.
What's the next step?
So the next step for us was tonight to be able to let me informally hear from this council and your mayor that you would like us to be a part of Roy City. The next step for us is we are approving and finalizing budgeting right now. And we will do that, and we will work forward in having that done. We will then begin to put our personnel or our volunteers together to get them trained. We'll identify the CRC, and we will move forward so that we can open that as soon as possible. So what we would need to do is, as I get down a little further down the road here, I would need to meet with the key personnel that you each deem that I should meet with to be able to coordinate our efforts. And in Ogden, I will be honest with you, it works so well in Ogden because of this one thing. During the busy season, May to September, when we are doing the outside projects on those 4 days, and they are large projects and large numbers of projects, we meet with Ogden City's key personnel every 2 weeks for a half hour, making sure we coordinate, making sure you understand every project that we're doing, that your risk management sees those projects and make sure that we're meeting their needs, that your insurance is good. We walk through it all with everybody so that they're aware. And one little thing too, this is at the end of the day of service, we provide tacos for all of the volunteers. And in Ogden right now, that's about 6,500 tacos on that day. So, and it, that we smile at that, but people really like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Hey, anything else?
Yeah, those tacos are why I'll be serving. Just kidding. So you'd meet every 2 weeks, but it sounds like, from what I understand, that you guys will grow as we kind of want you to grow as well. Like
yes.
financially, we're not going to be paying more than we could actually afford or anything like that. We're not
No, and
gonna-
that's the purpose of us collaborating, communicating, and meeting regularly. We will grow. Obviously, Roy is not the size of Ogden. It's not going to have near the number of volunteers, but there are still a lot of good projects that could be done inside of the city, as well as your patrons and citizens that could benefit from the CRC. So yes, we will grow at the pace that the city feels is appropriate, and we feel that we could manage ourselves on our side of that agreement.
And for the background checks, just to clarify, that's just for the main volunteers that you're working with that would be working with people
That's
or youth
correct.
or, so the people like teaching the classes maybe, or people like that.
That's correct. That would be the missionaries, if you will, that are working with us on a part-time basis, not the volunteers that are coming in on those days of service.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify
We
that.
do have the release forms of those kinds of things for those volunteers that come in that holds each of our entities harmless at that point. So we would work with you to be able to make sure that that meets your needs as a city as well.
Okay, thanks.
And plus, there's no age limit, so it can be a family affair, day of
Absolutely.
service, so bring
On
them
those
out.
days of service, we identify
Right.
family friendly projects. Some are and many aren't.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, we're way excited. I'm way excited. Roy City, like I told you, was the most beautiful city back in the 60s, and we got a lot of work to bring it back up. And I think it's just is a great thing, an opportunity for our city. And you've already gone through so many loopholes to get us to where we're at now. And I'm very excited for this opportunity to have my hometown come to Roy City. So I
Mayor,
thank you for your time.
If that's a formal yes for me to move ahead, I'd like to see all of you shake your head yes.
And we jump up and down and wave our hands. And
We
that
are
sort
going to
of thing.
work to move ahead. I will contact you, Mayor,
Okay.
and we'll take those next steps and we'll
Okay.
begin to move forward.
Thank you so much for
If
coming.
there are any questions on your small pamphlet here from any of you, my contact information
Yeah.
is on the back of that at the bottom. Please, any one of you reach out, or any one of the city personnel, please reach out to me. So
Okay,
Do you
thank
have
you.
any additional of these that you could maybe
I can
leave
bring you
for-
some.
Okay, that'd be
Okay.
great. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you all.
thank you so much, Steve.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Okay,
Thank you all
thank
for
you.
coming.
Okay, now next we have Chief Clark, or is it Chief Theron is going to talk?
I'll do the introduction.
Okay, okay, Chief Theron is going to introduce. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. We're just going to kind of keep this brief before I turn time over to Chief Clark and Chief Taylor. I just want to introduce that this topic has come up. It's been instigated by me. That's not something they came to me, nor did Matt ask me. This is something that I have really brought to the table as an option. As most of you know, and I'm trying to be as transparent with you as a council, and also the residents who need to know the condition of the current fire department situation. During Christmas time, Christmas Eve, we had a time in our staffing where we had to brown out a station. And it's been known over the last 4 years, we've lost a lot of firefighters. We've had a large turnover. In 3 years, we've lost 28 firefighters. And that has a really young workforce. And so it's getting harder and harder to keep firefighters. And it's mainly due to the wages. When we do an exit interview, we ask them the reasons why, and the majority, almost every one of them, is because of the low wages. Where the gap between other fire departments surrounding us is getting larger and larger, that gap. And so as an option, we have options. And really, I take my responsibility to provide the residents and to fulfill my oath and responsibility to give every resident the best emergency services to keep the city safe. We're now starting to see that that's getting harder and harder because we're losing the firefighters. So tonight I don't want to go into a lot of depth of all the different aspects that were the challenges that we're facing. What I've tried to do is create options and to introduce to you as a council, Weber Fire as an option. If you remember a while back, around a year ago, there was a discussion about a Southern District study. And at that time we thought, well, if we're going to explore creating a Southern District, why don't we entertain joining a neighboring district with Weber Fire? And that's why we're looking at the options that we're facing with these challenges with the fire department. I've asked that Chief Clark introduce what Weber Fire is and just kind of walk us through. So really, tonight is an opportunity for them to explore and help you understand who they are, that the residents know this current situation we're in, and really just bring it to the table, bring it publicly so we can be fully transparent with you as a council and also with the public. So with that, I'll turn that time over to Chief Clark. And if I kind of have to interject during the conversation, we're happy to entertain questions, but I'll turn that time over to Chief Clark. Chief Clark.
Mayor and Council, I am honored to be here to be able to talk to you tonight. As Chief Williams said, I know you're looking at a lot of options. We're at Weber Fire District, we're truly honored to be an option that you're looking at, and we understand that we're an option. And I think it's important too with Chief Williams, what he said, we don't pursue this, but as a district, we feel that when cities reach out to us, we have an obligation to answer that and tell you what we can offer, maybe a benefit that we can offer. Just as a quick introduction, my name is Britt Clark. I've been in the fire service for about 23 years now. I actually worked here at Roy City from 2008 to I think about 2016, 17 as a part-timer. I started with Weber Fire in 2015, and I've become the deputy chief in 2018, and the chief just since 2024. So I'm a little bit new as the chief. But by way of introduction, and I got to say, as I was in the audience listening to my hometown presentation, I realized that this probably would have gone a lot better if I brought tacos, but I didn't, and I apologize. Everything goes better with tacos, but I just wanted to come up and introduce who we are, kind of where we came from, and maybe some benefits that we could offer to Royse City. And first of all, who we are was we're Weber Fire District. We started in 1936 as Weber County Fire Department. In 1982, we were formed into a special service district. Today, we serve the communities of Far West, Marriott Slaterville, West Haven, Hooper, Uinta, Huntsville, and now, just recently, Ogden Valley City. They just became a city, so we serve them. And then we also serve all of the unincorporated Weber County. So we cover about 515 square miles, and we have currently 6 stations that we cover that with. We're all full-time stations. This year, we're starting a project. We're building a new station in Hooper that will be an additional, so we'll be 7 stations. We're building another new station in West Haven that will be replacing an older station. That's it was built, as best I can tell, is built in the 60s, so it's kind of served its time. And then we're building a training facility, which includes a training building with classrooms in it, workout facilities, some offices, and then that facility will also include a 4-story training tower, fire training tower. That's kind of some of the assets that we have. Looking at what we can offer, I think one of the biggest things that we can offer to Royse City is just the fact that we're a special service district. And if I'm sure all of you are familiar with special service districts, there are a lot of them around and they serve different things, but the purpose for a special service district is to take several communities, bring them together, and offer a specialized service. In our case, it's fire and EMS, to those communities at a cheaper price, but a higher service level than they could afford on their own. And as you look around at a lot of the cities that we cover, they're smaller cities, but they're able to afford a good, solid service that we can provide to them. One of the benefits of service districts is we have a wider base, a wider tax base, so we can offer a more stabilized service, spread out a lot over a lot of more people, and we can offer that stabilized and cheaper usually. And as you can see with all of our districts, or excuse me, all of our stations, we have a lot of resources that we can bring to bear. And in the fire and EMS service, you never really know what's going to happen. One day, I know as a firefighter, you go a day and hardly get a call, and the next day you're busy all day and you're running calls all over the city. And that's one of the benefits here is we have worked with Royse City for many years. As you know, we serve West Haven. Royse City has come to West Haven. We've come to Royse City to help each other out. In that sense, we really offer the same service that you have now. And Royse City offers an outstanding service right now, and we can come in and offer that same service now. But one of the benefits too, I think we can offer is we can offer more resources. We offer fire, we offer EMS, we contract with the county for paramedic service to provide paramedic services, just like Royse City does. We also have specialized stations in heavy rescue and hazmat. At those stations, we have techs that focus on those specific skills. And so they get all the certifications they need to be experts in that field. And that frees them, having more resources, that frees them up to be able to focus in and be really, really good hazmat techs or really, really good heavy rescue techs. And along with that, we can focus buying equipment for those stations where if we get a hazmat response or we get a heavy rescue response, we can respond out with not only the training, but also with the specialized equipment that's needed to take care of that as quickly as possible. In addition to that, we also have a very robust wildland division in that we respond not only locally to wildland fires, but we also respond all over the West, pretty much from Colorado and Wyoming all the way west. We actually have a individual in Texas right now serving as a task force leader, but we've served all the way up to Montana, and we go all over the country. And a lot of people ask you, why would a fire service want to do that? A lot of benefits to it. First of all, it brings back a lot of experience and certifications into our local area. When we get fires, I myself did 7 years as a wildland firefighter, and I saw massive fires. And so when we get fires around here, we're able to just get on them and be aggressive and knock them out. So we bring back a lot of experience. We bring back a lot of advanced certifications. But really one of the benefits to our citizens is we bring back money and we buy equipment, and our taxpayers don't pay for that equipment. We've bought several wildland apparatus, tenders, PPE equipment, training with, for lack of a better term, somebody else's taxpayers' money, and we bring it back here into our city, and our citizens benefit from that because we have better equipment. It's more specialized, we have better training. So we offer those resources to all of our citizens, again, at a lower, more stabilized price. I'm not sure exactly what the format is. I'm open to any questions that you have. I can answer some of them. Maybe some of them I might have to come back and answer. Do you have any?
Well, one of the most important things you bring is you bring our firemen up to the pay scale that most already other cities have, right?
Yeah, and that is a benefit that we can bring because of the way we're financed. Basically, we rely heavily on property tax, and nobody likes to pay property tax, but it is more stable. And so we can bring our firefighters into a competitive range, and we can keep them there better, longer. And really, when you hire a new firefighter, it takes a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of equipment to train them. And the last thing you want them to do is in 2 or 3 years to leave and go to another city. And then that city gets all of that investment you poured into that individual. That pay is part of that and benefits. And culture, which having worked at Roy, you don't have a culture problem. You have a great department. But being able to offer a situation where your young firefighters can come in and they can see a whole career in there, it's a benefit because your tax dollars don't go to waste. They're building those certifications, they're building that experience, and as those firefighters move through, they become engineers and paramedics and captains and battalion chiefs. And all of that investment that you put on the front end, it starts to pay off on the back end with that incredible leadership that you can keep in your community. So that is a benefit I think that we could offer, and we do offer.
Okay, so council, do you have any questions?
Can you tell us where your pay scale fits generally amongst other fire districts and departments? You know, like, are you on the top and the low end? First question. Second question, where does Roy Fire Department then fall compared to your pay scale?
So, and maybe I forgot to say this, I'll just hit it real quick. We're governed by a board of trustees. A lot of people think that Weber Fire District is governed by the county. We're not. We serve the county, but we have a separate board of trustees, which is made up of 4 elected at-large representatives and then representatives from our city. So it's local control. They make the decisions. To answer your question, several years ago, we came up with a plan to make sure we stayed in the market with our employees. And what we did is we looked at all the fire service districts along the Wasatch Front because we tax the same and we can compare against them. And we decided we're gonna stay in the top 2/3 of that every year, and we're gonna look at it every year. So we stay in the top 2/3, and we adjusted. This last year, we adjusted our engineers who had fallen behind a little bit, and we make those little adjustments every year. With Roy City, I can only speak in generalities. We have been talking to Chief Williams a little bit, and we have compared where your current people are compared to our people. And I can tell you that it's anywhere from 10 up to 30+%. Roy's below us about 10 up to 35%. So in some cases, it's pretty significant.
So, as I understand it, in the meeting I had with you, that if Roy did go to the Weber Fire District, everyone would still keep their positions in,
Yes.
like, we wouldn't demote Chief Williams to like captain or anything. And then he would stay there, but then everything would just be renamed, all our trucks and everything. And then all of our employees would just join. What, you have 100?
We have 110.
And then
firefighters, yeah.
they would go to Huntsville, and they would be able to, they would service all those different areas. Our firemen, once they joined your district, would not be just in Roy no more. They'd go up to the valley, and some might like those experiences, and some might want to just stay in Roy, but that's actually what would happen.
Yeah, and there's, there's a lot of pieces to that to put together, but in speaking on generalities, if Roy decided to annex to Weber Fire District, I don't see us changing anything as far as your service goes. So as far as your current firefighter, your level of staffing, I don't see how it could change. You're a busy city. You have a lot of calls. So the staffing really wouldn't change much. There would be opportunities opened up for your firefighters to move around if they wanted to move around. And that is a benefit of Weber Fire District. We have everything from city to rural to in the Upper Valley. We go to ski resorts all the time. There's a lot of different types of calls that we go on, and they would have that opportunity to move around. We don't generally force people around. We usually have open bids where they can bid if they desire to move. And so that would definitely be an option for them. But they would also, and I'll just throw this in, instead of 2 stations wanting to advance to captain, they would have, with your addition, that would be 9 stations. And so 3 captains at each station, 3 engineers. We would add a battalion, so you have 6 battalion chiefs. There's a lot of opportunities for them to advance their careers with Weber Fire District.
And if we decided to go to Weber Fire District, when would you need to know by?
Really, we could it could happen anytime.
Okay.
And that's just something we'd have to sit down and figure out what makes the best sense for Roy City.
Okay.
And then Weber Fire District.
So
I just wanted to say something that you said. I think I just wanted to point out, just for the public's benefit. And when I met with you, it was something that I didn't catch at first, but understood after you explained it more. That because we do have so many calls and things in Roy, that's kind of how you decide where stations are needed, where personnel are needed and stuff. So in fact, we wouldn't be losing, because I know that has been a concern, like that we would lose the same type of coverage or whatever, but it is depending on, the activity. It's not just a random choice or whatever. It's based on the data and how things, like where the calls are, how much activities in certain areas and things like that. So I do appreciate that, knowing that. And I also learned, and this is more for the public's benefit, that it would actually enhance the services we have now, for some of the reasons you mentioned, but there's also other things that would be enhanced, maybe like community engagement. You guys have more resources for that and stuff. So not that Roy Fire right now, I think the chief and their team has done a great job about reaching out to our community, but that they don't have all the resources of the things that they want to do right now. But anyway, I just wanted people to understand that as well. So.
Okay, I can expand on a little bit of that.
Yeah, sure.
If you'd like. So, yeah, station location and staffing is in the fire service is based off data, and we have national response standards. And so when somebody picks up the phone and calls 911, it's not random how quick we come. It's actually planned out. We have standards we have to meet, and so call volume is part of that. Travel time is part of that, and then there's times when you have to understand there's only so much you can do. We have areas that takes us a long time to get to a call, but we cover 516 square miles. And so 1 or 2 houses, we're not going to put a station right there for 1 or 2 houses, but we try to do the core where most of our calls are happening. That's how the decisions are made. They're driven by data. They're driven by hitting those national response standards as close as we possibly can within reason. I can say, as far as community engagement, as you mentioned, Roy City has done an amazing job, but they could do more. And I'll be honest, Weber Fire District, we've done an amazing job with community engagement, but we could do more if we had more resources. And that's really what it comes down to. When you have a fire department, their number one job, and really where they hang their hat and where the money is when your citizen calls 911, how quick do they get there? And that is number one. It's what they have to do, and other things have to come in after that. And so yes, resources are huge. We do a lot more community engagement because we have more resources too. We do more prevention because we have more resources too. That doesn't mean that Roy City hasn't done that, right, or is failing. It just means that they need more resources to meet those demands. And there is a lot more opportunities too, that we could bring to Roy City. Just to go back, you reminded me of something you said. Training, our training tower. Right now, it's hard to have a city as busy as yours and take an engine out of service for 2 hours to go get really good training. With more resources, we can bring engines in to back that. Your firefighters have got to have training. Mm-hmm. there is so much that they do, and I mentioned a bunch of them. They're firefighters, they're EMTs and paramedics, they're hazmat, whether they're a tech or not, they're hazmat people. They're wildland firefighters, they're prevention, they're helping people get back in bed. They're trying to figure out if it's power cable or cable, just cable laying across the street. They do a lot, and they have to train on it. And so that's valuable to have those resources to be able to pull your people out, let them go just focus on training for a couple hours and be backed up in your city so you don't lose your calls is another big benefit.
So in regards to this, if this joins up, then basically all of our fire equipment, our fire stations just then are turned over to Weaver Fire District, and all assets would just be joined in there straight across.
Yeah, essentially, I mean, the function's a lot more complicated than that, but essentially your citizens have already purchased them. And if you annex to Weaver Fire District, your citizens would still get the same service out of the same equipment. It wouldn't make any sense for them to buy it back from the city. Like I said, that's the very easy explanation, but it's more complicated, but essentially, yeah.
And if for some reason it doesn't work out and we decided we want to backtrack and go back, is that possible? Or just give a kind of a feel for that. It's like super possible, absolutely not impossible, or somewhere in between, you know?
Well, it's definitely not impossible. There's always ways to get out of districts in every district, and you hear about it up in Salt Lake, UPD. They had people exit a district. Unified Fire Authority, which is the largest fire district, really the largest fire service provider in the state. They had Draper City exit. So, I mean, is it possible? Absolutely. But like I told you before, you would never have a reason to leave Weber if you joined us. We'll provide the same service that you're getting and hopefully enhance it and improve it. So,
Could you talk about a little bit more about the representation that Roy would have, like on your board, on the Board of Trustees? Just because that was something that I found really interesting and I did not realize, so.
yeah, so our board is made up. Right now, we just moved to 11 with Ogden Valley City coming on. We have 4 positions that are elected at large. And so if you live in unincorporated county, you can run for one of our positions. And the rest of them are all representatives from the city appointed by the mayor. And so for all those jurisdictions or all those cities that I told you about, they've all appointed an individual to serve on our board. And that's where all of our governance comes from. They make the decisions. Obviously, as administrators, we run the district day in and day out, but every month we answer to them, we take issues to them, and they make those calls. So.
Is this where we would talk a little bit about what the cost would be for us to do that? Or would that come at later conversation? Later?
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, I do. Well, I guess not to then flesh out the conversation about the cost, but you're your own taxing entity. So you'd tax, like it's a property tax, and based on the property values. So it's going to look different for each person. Okay, so we will talk about that later. So the locations of our stations right now, the 2 of them, according to national response standards, are they still in appropriate locations where if you absorbed them, would they still be in good spots? Does that make sense? I don't really know how to articulate that, but.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And
or would you have to like change where they are?
I mean, we could do the data on them to see kind of how they're falling, but having worked here, I can tell you for the most part that they're pretty quick to all their responses. And I think if you look countywide, I would bet that Roy City has some of the best response times. Because you do have great station locations, you have great people, you have a good dispatch system. I don't think that they would change. I mean, you can always run data to try to take a look at it and things change a little bit, but honestly, Roy's kind of been built close to out for a while, and you've been serving it with what you have, so I think it would probably stay the same.
Okay. I was just wanting to make sure that like it wouldn't come up later where it's like, oh, well, now that this is part of the larger area we serve, these 2 stations way out here should actually be moved closer to the general area, and do you see what I mean?
I do.
I wouldn't want to, get down the road and be like, oh, they're actually in a bad spot now that we're in part of that larger area that was served. So
yeah, the benefit that you do have is in Weber County, and I've worked in several counties in the state, In Weber County, we have one of the best cooperative counties for fire service in the state. And we respond into Roy. If both your engines are out, it's not uncommon for Weber Fire District to respond in to Roy for fire, or an ambulance to respond in. And so those times have been tested from outside agencies and coming in and spreading out and going back and forth. So I think the spots, without doing data, I could say the spots are probably pretty good where they're at.
Because you're getting the new one that might be kind of close to our second station, but with the increased growth, you feel that both of those would still probably be needed?
Yeah, the tricky thing about station locations is a lot of people say, well, it's really close to the other one, but there's so much other stuff that goes into that. There's population and there's density that will play on those times. There's traffic, which anybody that's lived in Weber County for a few years knows that that's changing rapidly. So it takes longer to get places. Those all fall into it. It will be closer, but I don't know that it would change a whole lot. And we're gonna talk specifically about Station 32 because that's what the one we're talking about. I don't know with the call volume where it is, the population density, and those two stations, I don't know that it would make sense to do a lot there. Now that's saying that without running any data. But we would always run data and try to do what's best for the district as a whole.
Because we would be the largest, if we joined, we would be the largest city
Yeah.
by quite a bit, really. I mean, I guess West Haven's creeping up on us, but
West Haven's sneaking up on you,
Yeah.
but I don't think they got you yet.
right.
So
And do you find that to be possibly a challenge in the representation of the board, where some are very small, it's kind of gets like the Senate and Congress kind of concept, How does that fit, and do you see that possibly changing with that big difference, or do you find a problem with that?
the way we're structured, and we do serve a lot of cities and we serve a lot of entities, and we serve unincorporated. The areas are all different, how they're structured. We have areas that are recreational, we have areas that are farming, we have areas that are city, but we don't look at it as all these different areas, we look at it as one. And so as we figure out our responses and where our staffing is and how we place our station locations, even down to the equipment we put in stations, we look at how it's gonna serve the district as a whole. And so each city has one representative in there, so you'll always have the equal say. We've never really looked at it as, if Roy gets this, then, West Haven gets this, or if Huntsville gets this, then Hooper gets this. We try to, and we always sell it when we go to our board for items. We'll go in and tell them why it's the best for the district as a whole, and that's really the concept we push. So,
And Brian, did you still have something?
Yeah, a couple. Since '82, since we formed, have we had any cities jump out of the district?
the district, no.
No, we haven't lost any.
Yeah, we've never had a city leave. Uinta is our most, well, I was gonna say Uinta is our most recent city to join. That's kind of not true because Ogden Valley City did, but they were already in our area, so that's a little bit different. But Uinta City was all volunteer, and they got to the point where they only had one volunteer that even lived in town, so they joined us. But other than that, we've never had any cities leave us.
And then, do you know about what population you're serving?
Yeah, right now we're just about 70,000
Oh, without Roy?
without Roy, yeah.
Okay.
So, it's over a large area though. You have a lot more density than we have anywhere else for sure.
Okay.
So I appreciate that Chief Williams has kind of prefaced this all with saying that we're looking at options. And so here's one of the options. So supposing that we intended to, you call it annex into the district, what does a time frame look like that? Because I know we're up against a real time clock here, and we're really wanting to do right by our firefighters, and we're wanting to provide service to the residents that they truly need. And so I just wonder if we can kind of get a good ballpark, like not certainly, but like this is silly, but is it 2 weeks or is it like 3 years? Like what is kind of the general time frame look like?
Well, we talked about this a little bit before, and there's really kind of two factors. There's the legal part of it, which actually is fairly short. We probably do it in a couple of months, maybe 3 months. And then there's the negotiation part, which just takes as long as it takes about how things all play out. which there's a lot of little pieces that form that whole will. But I mean, you would have to tell us kind of what you're looking at doing, and then we could like kind of build that out and see how that could play out.
Can I interject?
Yep.
So looking at the timeline, I to your question, I think it's important that I'm the one that's kind of directing the timeline. We had thought because they are calendar, which is January, where they do their budgeting, we're fiscal. And so really a timeline that I was considering and kind of advising Chief Clark to look at would be January 2027. That gives firefighters time to adjust if you want to come, if they don't. And then really, we need to look at timeline as far as making decision. I'd say by June, as we start to build our budget. So I think those are the ballparks we're looking for that we've discussed. Nothing, like I said, really we haven't negotiated anything. That's just being upfront and honest. It's really, we're trying to introduce this concept as an option, but that would be the best timelines we can give you. That for fairness to them, it'd be January 2027, but the council would need to give direction, I would say by June-ish, for Roy City and for them so they can start prepping all the things that they've got to do with the county. So is that fair?
Yeah, I
Okay.
totally agree. So.
Okay.
That
Does
answers
answer
it
your
perfectly.
question?
Perfectly. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you so much
you.
for coming. Looks like we've got our homework cut out for us, so
Okay. Thank you.
thank you so much. Okay, now, last, our city attorney, Matt Wilson, is going to be doing our Open and Public Meeting Act training.
Last but not least,
Sorry about that, Matt.
I was also hoping that we would have had 3 follically challenged presenters, but the fire district decided to go a different way with that. I even came up with some ideas for a band like the Bald and the Beautiful, the Balding Buddies. I don't know. Just thinking of a few things. Anyways, I know you're all so excited about this and that you live your lives so that you can hear me tell you about open and public meetings. It's always the most exciting part of my year, so I hope it is for you as well. And there's no tacos either. All right, so the act was created by the Utah State Legislature. The purpose is so that public bodies deliberate openly, that they have their meetings openly. There are a few exceptions that we'll get into with that, but it applies when there's a quorum present when the council convenes. Purpose of discussing, receiving comments, or acting on matters over which council has jurisdiction or advisory power. It applies to work sessions, executive sessions, planning commission, other committees, where there is a quorum, which means there's more than 2 council members and the mayor. Well, you don't necessarily have to have and the mayor, but more than 2 council members would constitute a quorum. It doesn't apply to chance meetings or social gatherings. That doesn't mean that's an exception to, 3 of you end up at the same place and then you get to talk about city business. That's a no. I'm very good at telling people that no. So just figure if you want to talk about things outside of a public meeting, just think back to this. No. So, meetings, they are open to the public with, like I said, limited exceptions. There is a requirement for notice of meetings, which is 24 hours, and minutes and recordings are required for your meetings. So as we talked about those exceptions to the meeting, there are closed meetings, which no final action can take place in a closed meeting. We've gone through some of those purposes, which I'm happy to share with you more, but we have one tonight, actually, purchase, sell, exchange, or lease of real property or project area, all that jazz. There's lots of good fun, but I won't bore you with that. The requirements for the closed meeting, it is a roll call vote. It needs to be stated on the record in the motion to close a meeting, the purpose of the closed meeting and where it's going to occur, and then you have to have at least 2/3 of the members who are present vote to close the meeting. Closed meetings are, for the most part, are recorded and detailed minutes are kept. There are a few exceptions to that as well, where an affidavit would take place of a recording. So at any meeting, your discussion in the meetings shall be limited to the item that is noticed on the agenda. And I know some of you have heard either myself or Assistant City Manager Brody Flint rein you in on a few things. There's a horse reference for you, Brody. Ordinance, resolution, contracts can't be approved at a closed meeting, and as you all got to see today, interview for a person applying for an elected position, for an appointed position, must occur openly. And then enforcement. Any final action taken in violation of the act is voidable, and the actions to either seek that, to have an action voided, or must occur within 90 days. Suit commenced by the person denied any under, the suit is commenced by anyone that is denied a right under this act. City could be liable for court costs and attorney's fees, and that is likely to be enforced by the Attorney General or County Attorney's Office. Any person who violates any of the closed meeting provisions is guilty of a first-degree felony. I'm kidding, it's a Class B misdemeanor. Still don't want to do that. Disclosure of information discussed in a closed meeting without the permission of the council may be a violation of grandma or your Ethics Act. Also, we have adopted an ordinance that allows members of the council to participate electronically or virtually. And the most common violations of the Open and Public Meetings Act are not listening to your attorney. Kidding. It's discussing matters in a closed meeting that should not be discussed, and it should be discussed during an open meeting, taking official or final action in a closed meeting, closing meetings without members of the body voting first in an open meeting to close the meeting, conducting a closed meeting for reasons other than those allowed, failing to provide adequate notice of a meeting, and also failing to provide that notice of where the meeting is occurring. So, any questions?
So do we get a handout, an updated handout on that so we can peruse it ourselves?
I can
You know,
provide
in
that,
evening
yes.
time entertainment? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So now we're going to go into our public comment portion of our meeting. Just keep in mind that you have 3 minutes. If you feel you need additional time, there's some comment papers up there that you can write down your contact name and follow up, and each appropriate department or person you want to contact will get a hold of you. And when you come up to for your comment, all we need is your name. So anybody have any public comments they want to make tonight?
My name is Mary Lynn Jones. I think with the talk about the fire department, that one big element was left out, and it might be on purpose, but it's the financial part. I understand, and I'm not saying this is honest, truth, figures, but I was told that Roy City would probably get a 3% deduction in property taxes to go with the fire district. So we would all think as residents, oh, we're going to pay less in taxes, because that's what we've objected to when it's been suggested that we had a 28% increase to fund our departments. Well, I want to know how much more is our property tax going to increase once we become part of that district, because I've been told it will be more than what we've anticipated coming through Roy City to keep our own fire department going. And just for me, I would rather see, as a large city that we are, that we keep our own fire department. And if we have to pay $8, $9 more a month in taxes to fund it, I'm for it. And I'm not for more taxes, but I am for that to keep us taken care of better than 516 acres being covered by 100 people.
Right. Thank you.
Dennis Brown. I came here with the intention of not speaking tonight, but after listening to the presentation, I just want to give you a couple of things to think about. When you're talking about millions of dollars in those buildings get turned over to Weber County, is that what you want to do? You have personal property, meaning the fire trucks and things like that, and you also have the buildings themselves, fixed assets. Number two, I I was a state delegate for the Republican Party this last year for the last election, and Diane, I think you were also. I cannot remember the name of the senator who was a mayor of where the prison used to be. Where was the prison at? Help me. Draper. That man who ran for the state senate, who was not elected, he received a majority of the votes from the delegates, but his basis was that he lowered the taxes, the tax base, the property tax base for his city as mayor. And he did it by changing I can't remember if they went from a district to a city or from a city to a county. But I asked one of you to contact, if I saw the picture of the delegates who ran for Senate, I could tell you who it was. But contact that man and ask him how he reduced the cost to the city of the police and the fire department. He ran on that as his one of his platforms as a U.S. senator, and I cannot remember his name, but I encourage you to find out who that was and call and talk to him. I listened to him speak probably 3 or 4 times. In fact, I personally voted for the man myself. The other thing to think about, what amount of control will you lose? Will Matt still be in charge of the fire department? If they're no longer part of the Weber County, I think, Matt, you're probably the manager of the fire department, is that correct? So he may not be the manager of the fire department if it's turned over to Weber County. And like Mrs. Jones said, if you raise the salary of the fire department people in Roy, and I'm not saying that's not what we want, I'm not saying either for or against. If your property tax base is not raised, the county's tax base will be raised to pay for those increased salaries. So the tax is going to come to the residents of Roy City one way or the other. That's how I see it from just sitting back there, just listening to this presentation. It may be a great thing to go to the county. I don't know the answer. But I would definitely contact the guy in Draper to find out how he did it and did it work for their city.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Kevin Homer. I live here in Roy. And right now, I feel like I put myself into a very, very strange situation because what I wanted to talk about for just a minute is the presentation of my hometown. I'm probably going to be perceived as a Scrooge or a Grinch or something like that. But I'm concerned about, even though it is a good and worthy project to be able to take volunteer time and help out in our community and help neighbors help each other, those are all very good things. But by obligating Roy City to pay for portions of this program, which for me should be a totally voluntary program that is supported by the city, they're asking for funds to be committed from our city that we already know we have a spending problem. In November 2023, on the newsroom section of the LDS Church website, they talk about the Hometown Initiative. Area President Kevin Pearson said, the cities provided equipment, trucks, backhoes, all these dumpsters, individuals who wanted to help, paid for the materials, and Black Captains helped organize this. So there seems to be a significant amount of money that is required of the cities out of taxpayer funds to fund what should be a voluntary effort. There are a lot of really good and worthy volunteer organizations like YCC, and they're going to be back here sometime this year to ask for more money from the city. I kind of follow the words of James Madison, one of my very favorite founding people. Charity has no part in the legislative process, which means to take money from people to pay for even good and worthy projects like this. All I would do is, let's look into this really hard, be very cautious, err on the side of caution as far as whether or not this city commits taxpayer funds to pay for a volunteer program like this. Thank you.
Randy Skadden. First and foremost, congratulations, Jason, and thank you all for actually the consideration to serve with you back on the council. Just so you know, this will not be the first nor the last time you see me from this side of the die. As it relates to the fire department, this is going to be an incredibly, incredibly hard and nuanced thing with which you're going to have to figure out how to best communicate to the community. This was honestly put in motion because, again, we did that study with the Southern District, found that it wasn't like financially viable in terms of for us to take and stand up that Southern Fire District because Roy City would have borne the vast majority of the cost for that. Hence why you're looking at Weber Fire because they already have the infrastructure in place. Things to take into consideration is, you know, as Chief Williams alluded to, we are losing firefighters, hand and foot, because again, we're about 25% under market, rates. And so if you're a new incoming firefighter, you're going to come to Roy and be trained, and then you're going to take your skills out into the free market and go get that, increase in pay. But as you're going through these things, also to Mr. Brown's point too, as you're going through and doing, you're going to be doing a lot of horse and pony trading, and there are assets that the city actually has. One thing that kind of stands out for the city as it relates to like the fire department is we have a higher than national average collection rate of ambulance services. In fact, we like outpace the vast majority of our peers. And so that's one of the questions that I'd probably have you, want to ask the fire district is what is your collection rate on your ambulances? Because we in Roy, actually, that's a revenue offset. Ambulances never go through and like pay for themselves, but they do help to offset the revenue. And so as you're going through these negotiations, make sure you're digging into the nuance of what the actual, financial numbers and the impacts are. Because what's interesting is knowing that this was coming up, I looked into it. The current fire station that sits in this same lot is on a same parcel as this building and as Memorial Park. So as you're going through and looking to divest of those types of things, you're going to probably have to, if you're going to divest of the Station 31 over to the Weber Fire District, you're going to have to figure out how to break off title and get that, handed over. Station 32 not nearly as impactful because it's on its own, parcel, so you're able to take and divest of that. But again, make sure as you're going through and doing this, this is a long-term play that is in the best interest of the firefighters because the way that the system works is they're incentivized to go out and maximize what their retirement payout is, especially for those that are in Tier 1 versus Tier 2, the retirement system. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Any more public comments? Oh.
My name is Janet Satterley, and Madam Mayor and Council. Sheila Courtney had to leave, and I would like to echo what she would have said to the council. Our church, New Hope Lutheran, would like to thank the city for our facility rental of the Hope Center for our meetings and services. We have had a great partnership and really appreciate the city and all you have done to help facilitate this for us. So thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Okay, we will go out of our public comment period and we'll go, we have an action item tonight, but we actually are gonna table that because we still need to do a lot of work, a lot of questions. And so can I have a motion to table that?
I move that we table the action item, consideration of Resolution 26-2.
Do I have a second?
Yes, seconded.
Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that will be tabled and we'll do some more work on that. And so now we have a couple of discussion items. Matt's going to be leading that in the Wage Study Committee.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Jackson. This should be a pretty easy discussion item. back during the budget adoption, we talked about doing a wage committee for the city, having some council members volunteer some time to come and look into the current pay scales, to look into the surveys, everything like that. So 2 questions. 1, do you still want to do that? And 2, if so, what council members would you like to appoint to that committee?
Well, I'll jump in. Is that something we can volunteer for possibly?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So anybody else want to volunteer for that study?
When do you think the meetings would be?
I would say that that's more up to you guys.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it'd probably be at your convenience, so.
I will if nobody else wants to, but.
So how
I'm
many
more than
people
happy to
do
have
you
others.
want?
2
two?
council members would be ideal.
Okay,
with
so
you as
Janelle
well.
and Diane.
Unless someone's like really wants to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. We want to get going on this pretty soon, so we'll send out some emails to get something set up for a meeting.
Okay. And then you're also doing the Roy CTC.
Yes, thank you. Ogden Weber Community Action Partners, better known as OWCAP, has approached Roy City to discuss the possibility of Roy City assuming the role of the grant administrator for the Roy Community That Cares, also known as the CTC Coalition. So a little bit of a history with OWCAP. It was kind of a Hail Mary pass to OWCAP about 5 years ago with this grant. It had something to do with the high schools administering this program, and OWCAP took it over about 5 years ago. Due to capacities of OWCAP right now, that's why they're asking these questions to see if we would take on that role. Recently, they took on a couple of grants dealing with housing that is just taking a massive amount of their resources, and so they would like somebody else to kind of take this on. The CTC is covered by federal grants. That's where the cost actually comes from. And so that's the timeline that we're under right now, is those grants are due, and they would like to know that answer as soon as possible so they could apply for those grants. So anyway, you've seen kind of the little layout into the council packet of things to consider. So I'll just turn the time over to you for that discussion.
Okay.
Can any of us?
Yeah, any of you
I
go
just
for it.
wasn't sure if the mayor had to say something
Right.
first.
Nope.
Okay. So I've participated in CTC for I don't know how many years now, but and I think it's a fabulous, great program. I worked particularly with the youth council, and I saw a lot of growth in those youth, and they've had a lot of opportunities. Having said all of that, I don't necessarily think that at this time, especially, that it would be a great fit for our city to take on as a city. I would love to see the organization continue in the community. I think it has a lot of value to our community, but I just don't think that that's a good fit right now for us, especially to take on another thing that we're helping with, I guess, so.
I think for me, the first question is this a duty or responsibility that a city should encompass? And I don't believe it meets that standard. I don't believe that, even though it is a great program, it sounds like, with Janelle, I've worked with it some in the past as well. I just don't believe that should be a function or duty of the city to do that.
Okay, any other comments?
I guess I'm just, OWCAP is the fiscal agent now. Why is it that CTC is not asking us to? Why is it OWCAP? Because this isn't a good way of putting it, but they're kind of trying to offload what they're doing for CTC. So why is it not that CTC is looking for a different fiscal agent and OWCAP is doing that for them, I guess?
That's a good question. One of the employees that was really the administrator over the CTC is now actually an employee for OWCAP and has changed positions. And so there is a part-timer over there with OWCAP, employed by OWCAP, being paid for by some of these grants. But You all know Charday, she has moved positions in ALCAP.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that definitely played into who's having the conversations because
Okay.
she's not there anymore.
Well, that does
so,
make sense, yeah. I just in my mind, it would be like CTC, like, oh, they can't do it anymore, like who else can? And so I was just confused by how it was coming from ALCAP and not straight from CTC. But I kind of agree, I think, with what's already been shared, which is just that it doesn't seem to be a responsibility of the city. Not to mean that we can't pitch in from time to time here and there, but I feel like at this time, it's not a good time for us to just kind of take on this as well.
Yeah. And
Because if we took it over, then we would actually pay their wages, those employees.
well,
Right.
the grant would.
The grant, yeah.
Yes, but it would
But
be
we'd have to-
money flowing through the city to pay for those, yes. But there would be a revenue offset of that grant.
Right. So we wouldn't pay for any part of it, the grant would.
Right.
But we're still, have the facility, things like that, so it's still.
Then our staff
manpower.
would still be involved. You just couldn't separate that out.
Yeah, so like, for instance, Amber does our financial stuff. If the CTC, they would pay her specifically from the grant for her hours, so she would be paid by that grant, but she would still be spending some of her time from the city, if that makes sense. So that's just an example of.
So is that something that we just do a consensus that we don't want to do
Yeah,
it? Or
I just need a
so-
direction to get back to them.
And
is all.
so it looks like the majority doesn't want to take on that responsibility then.
Correct.
So,
But I would encourage everyone to join the CTC and participate because it's stronger when there's more people. And they've grown a ton, and it really is a great program for our community to have. So, and I'm hoping they'll get to work with Hometown maybe a little bit. So,
Well, thank you.
okay, now, Matt, manager,
Yes, I actually have nothing to report on today, so back to you guys.
so you don't have anything to say? Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, I'm just trying to find this email from our athletic director, Mike Pusey. Once again, the Unified High School Basketball Tournament with our Special Olympics is going to be held on this Monday, February 9th, and it's at Roy High, but then we use the gym in the complex also. This is such a great opportunity. They wanted, if any of you, it's from 9:45 in the morning till 12:45. I went over last year and was able to watch some of these special needs kids in wheelchairs and make baskets, and Roy High actually made it to the championship game last year, which was held in the Delta Center. My granddaughter was involved in it, helped with the special needs kid, and he made a buzzer beater shot at the buzzer beater, and we won the championship. And you thought we'd won the NBA championship. I don't know if I jumped up, and we were all crying, and it was just so exciting because you'd have to know this kid. He waits for buzzer beaters. We would have won in regulation, but he waited and missed the shot, so went into overtime, and then he waited and watches the clock and put it up, and we won. And so it's just such a special event, and he wanted me to let the citizens of Roy and the council know if you had any time on your hands to go over there and see this great tournament that they have for these kids. They do a soccer tournament also, and it's a real big deal for the whole state. But we are hosting it for part of it on Monday, February 9th, and so he wanted me to make sure and bring that up. And other than that, I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And
sorry, I did have something.
and
Yeah,
then
is that okay?
I'm excited for our new council member to have that seat filled. And so I will not be here at the next council. Mayor Pro Tem Diane will be here. I'm going to Florida, watch my granddaughter play soccer, which I did before I even was going to run for mayor. I had that. And so, but Janelle, what would you like to say?
Sorry, I just wanted to kind of report to, just so the public and the rest of the council knows that Matt and I took our youth council up to the Capitol. I guess it's been over a week ago, so a couple weeks ago. And we were able to, we got really spoiled and lucky because as we know, our planning commission chair, he works at the Capitol, and so he got us we were able to go see the governor's office and met the lieutenant governor, and then they got to sit on the floor with Chief Gwynn, actually, and our Representative Sawyer, and the kids really loved that. And they got to see all kinds of things at the Capitol and learn all about how the government works and have some conversations with legislators and different things like that. And I think it was good for us to kind of see how that day went and how it was organized. And also, I think the kids really enjoyed it, and I hope to be able to do that again in the future. So, or let one of you have the opportunity, because it was fun. So
That's neat.
Oh,
And again, thank you to everyone, and welcome, Jason. We look forward to working with you.
I've got just a thing. Is it now the right time? I don't know
go
for
for
the
it.
round robin deal. So I am finishing up a CERT training, it's Community Emergency Response Team, which is we have access to, I guess, through Weber County right now, and so they are accepting people to enroll and start to join that, and that's going to be during the spring. It's at most, I believe, through them every 6 months, so it doesn't come along very often, that opportunity, but it's just a really great way to get involved, and so I'll be finishing that up. There's an online portion and then an in-class kind of class portion, in-person class portion, excuse me. So that's coming up, and it sounds like we might be able to get that information on the website, so that'll be great. So check out the website, and we'll, it's just a good opportunity to get involved, so.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, now if there's no other comments, then I guess we'll have a motion to adjourn, and then, nope. Okay.
It's motion to close the meeting.
Yeah, to close the meeting, because we're going into and enter the closed
But
door
we have
meeting.
to have
Okay.
the
Motion-
reason for why
Yeah.
included in the motion, and that where
Okay,
it would be located, which would
so we're gonna have
likely
a
be in this room.
motion for a closed door meeting to discuss strategy, to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property, including any form of a water right or water shares, or to discuss a proposed development agreement, project proposal, or financing proposal related to the development of land owned by the state or a political subdivision.
So, yeah, to be held here.
In the council chambers.
Okay, so moved.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
It's a
Oh, roll call vote, okay.
Councilmember Jackson.
Aye.
Councilmember Saxton.
Aye.
Councilmember Wilson.
Aye.
Councilmember Swar.
Aye.
And Councilmember Holbert.
Aye.
Okay, then I guess we'll now enter a closed door meeting. You know how hard it is for me to not, when you say Councilmember Jackson, to not say aye? Every time I'm like, yeah, that's not me. So we want to take a small little break? Okay, we'll convene back here like in 5 minutes. Yeah, potty break.
I needed that, so
Yeah, I'm gonna go to my office and get my chapstick.
Mayor,
And, yeah.
does the Standard know about the February 9th?
Let's try again. And I'm like, I'm giving it all I got here. Tell him to come get me. Big old party and have a good old bonfire and. Yeah, for sure. I didn't grow up. Once you're out there, then you're good.
I grew up with down the city, so.
There's a lot of them out there that change the colors. So this vestige you can't park. Can't park. I don't think. He was our. You know. Yeah. You know what I like. Okay. If you don't, I'll just stand at the table and ask for it. Do we take that in one little phrase that was in there twice? Yeah. Right? Okay. You're doing a good job. I want to enjoy it. Yeah. I want to live and yeah, have a good time. Yeah. No, you're good. You're totally fine. Right? We got about 5 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Over at West Park. Yeah.
Okay, good seeing you. See you later. And he's nice for You killed it, didn't you? I hope not. No, they don't. I have leadership. But I've got ties and
Who do you get to say it to?
file with the Weaver County mosquito. Because they'll come around and spray, but they don't have to use it unless it's wet ground. Trying to put in certain vicinity in that area. And if they do, you go back and cheat. So my parents also tried to.
Yeah, I do too. I got
Well, you know, my thoughts
Sorry to keep you waiting, Robert.